Hello, and welcome to another episode of Video Game Reviews. Today, I'll be talking about the indie game legend that is Fez on the Nintendo Switch. Now, just to be clear, I'm not going to be talking about the legend, or in other words, the backstory behind the development, which has been pretty well documented and is also featured, if you can track it down. There's this film called Indie Game, the movie. Strongly recommend it. I really enjoyed it, so if you can find it out there somewhere, check it out. But that does feature Fez and, a lot of background behind its development process. And so Fez is all about exploration. Let's dive right into the gameplay. It's all about exploration and environmental puzzle solving. There is no combat in this game. You move around on a 2D plane, but you can rotate your perspective of the world with the shoulder buttons or the shoulder triggers. I don't remember which, one of the two. And so that allows you to view the world from either, essentially the north, south, east, or west directions. And this mechanic of changing the perspective on the fly is basically how you will navigate the world and solve puzzles. When you rotate the world behind you, your character remains stationary and always oriented in a two-dimensional side view. So that never changes. Fez was originally released during the Xbox 360 era, and it could draw actually some loose comparisons, and I mean very loose, to Limbo, which did come out during the same time period on the Xbox 360. However, Limbo, and later Inside, both by Playdead Studios, I would say that those games are more linear and arguably cinematic in a way. Whereas Fez is more about pure exploration of a non-linear world. Having said that, I do, for my personal taste, prefer the Playdead games over Fez. I started this video off by saying that, by referring to Fez as an indie game legend, and it is. I mean, that's fact. It was a big deal in the emerging indie game scene, especially on consoles during the Xbox 360, PS3 era. Does that necessarily mean that I think it is the best thing ever? No. It's good. It's worth checking out. It's interesting. It's not my favorite game in the world, but it is a legend. It definitely has that status. It's definitely unusual or arguably unique and very much worth experiencing in its own right, as I said. Fez, for me, at least, is not really... I think it's not a great choice if it's the only game that you're going to be playing. For me, Fez is the kind of game that you pick up, chip away at for a little while, and then play something else. Like maybe you start your evening off or end your evening with spending a little bit of time with Fez, but it shouldn't really be, in my opinion, like your main course, so to speak. If you don't want to look anything up online, then Fez may take you a long time to finish, and frankly, despite the fact that there is no combat, there really is no guarantee that you'll be able to finish this game without some online guidance in at least a few spots. Because Fez doesn't do a lot of explaining, and some of its puzzles are not really intuitive, such as, just as an example, there are a few instances where you would need to use your QR scanner on your phone in real life to complete some of these puzzles. And without someone telling you that, like, why would you ever come to that conclusion? And so that's not the only example or the only type of puzzle, but there are certain situations where it's just like, why... It can be a little bit obscure. So if you're very goal-oriented, like you're just trying to plow through this game and move on to the next one, Fez is probably going to frustrate you. And so with that, let's move on to one of Fez's biggest kind of draws or most appealing aspects of this game, arguably, and that's the presentation. Fez is, without a doubt, among the trippiest games ever made, in my opinion. Yes, the visuals are interesting, and you can kind of get a little bit of a psychedelic vibe just by looking at the game. However, I will have some audio, as I sometimes do at the end of my videos, just so you can get a feel for what the audio brings to this experience. Yeah, so it's a really unique soundtrack. I guess I'd describe it as like synth-based, hypnotic, or trance-like. And if you're the sort of person who likes to relax in the evening and run around, in some bizarre, surreal game world, and like I said, you're not feeling particularly driven or, quote, type A about needing to plow through this game and move on to the next one, which is something that I admit to falling into myself sometimes. But if you just want to enjoy a weird audio-visual experience, Fez might be the game for you. Fez sells for $15 on the eShop and is absolutely worth that price for such a bizarre and unique experience. However, your mileage, might vary with that, as when a game, or really anything, is this unusual, you can pretty much guarantee that it will not be for everybody. Anyways, that's my quick little summary about Fez here. So thanks for watching. Please click like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time, whenever that may be. Bye-bye.